Welcome to the Fun Astrology Podcast for Wednesday, August 20th. Thomas Miller and Kristin Lawhead, and we have an incredible chart. Kristin, there is a really cool, look at this. I've already kind of drawn it in. Woo!
Yeah, this is a beautiful grand sextile. It's just such a cool chart in general. So before we get into the Great Pyramid, I just think that we should acknowledge just what a cool formation this is.
You know, I'll tell you what, I feel like Monty Hall on Let's Make a Deal. I'll trade this lady for door number 3. I'll trade things. I would love this chart. Look at that mystic rectangle. You can spot that with your eyes right in the middle. She has a yacht. I mean, you know, this is really a cool chart, and love the geometric symmetry in there too. So thanks for pointing that out. All right, here's our structure, and we're moving toward, we have 2 more signs to go. We're putting Aquarius on the rising today, and we have a low degree rising, 3 degrees, 29, so 3.5. And that puts Pluto right on her ascendant. It puts the vortex right, she's catching it in her second house, and we're going to talk about that, but it's right on the cusp of the third. And then Uranus over here, straddling between home and family and fun and play and recreation and risk-taking and all of that. So, Kristin, where with the Great Pyramid would you start with this?
I say the vortex is a really important point in the Great Pyramid, but the Pluto on the ascendant is such a important piece for this person. I mean, that is such a huge transit, and right now they're in the midst of it.
And that's everybody who has Aquarius rising, and for some it's Capricorn. See, we're straddling these, but if you were a 0 degree or 1 degree rising, then that Pluto would be inside your first house. For everybody else, it's going to clip the 12th. So this is a contrast between basically private 12th and public 1st.
Yeah, and the mix of that is really bringing the subconscious to the forefront and really being able to build the dynamic of who you want to be and who you are when you're alone, and that kind of transformation of self. I mean, having Pluto on the ascendant is so much breaking down of who you were and who you want to become.
Yeah, it really absolutely makes it one of probably the most personal rising signs for the Great Pyramid, because Pluto is going to bake there for several years within orb of that ascendant. The other thing that I would ask, and this is almost a rhetorical kind of question, is, so how has Pluto retrograde been working for you? And, you know, typically they say that Pluto retrograde is not that big of a, acknowledged, not like this Mercury, HELL that we've been through, you know, but I'm still having Gemini rising. Oh, it's not finished even yet. So I'm still experiencing stuff. Like, it never stopped. It went direct, and it's, for everybody else, glad it did for you, Kristin. So, but Pluto, we don't interpret that way.
No, Pluto doesn't have a big deal around the retrograde, just because it does happen a little bit more often, and for longer periods, where Mercury is for 3 weeks, 3 times a year. And I think that when it comes to the inner power that Pluto retrograde can bring, though, this is the time of reevaluation, especially having the ascendant and self so far pulled into this particular Pluto retrograde.
Now, the other thing in the chart, everybody always gets all buggy about this piece of real estate called the 12th house, because if you listen to Old Soul, New Soul, you heard it about 1,000 times. Secret sorrows and self-undoings. That's the old interpretation of the 12th house. It was feared by ancient astrologers, by Hellenistic astrologers. It was like, ooh. You know, here's something about the 12th, especially in context of this pyramid and where all of this is located. The 12th is the completion of the zodiac. If we were in the natural order, Aries would be here on the first cusp, and Pisces would be here on the 12th. That's how the zodiac is structured. So once we hit 12, we start over with 1. Now, what more of a perfect kind of picture could we have than Pluto sitting right there at the start over place? So one of the things about transformation, and I'll bet with all these sextiles in here, I mean, this person has had some really amazing connectivity of the planets in her life, acting out, and the yod, and the mystic rectangle. And she has a karmic path here that is incredible. And this is how you weave the natal chart in with the Great Pyramid, that she is straddling this wrap up things, transformation, Pluto there giving her literally the chance of a lifetime to experience these changes. And then talk about the caterpillar. Let's put a C in the 12th. To the butterfly, we'll put a B in the 1st. This person, I don't know how old they are. We could look at Pluto and see. Yes, okay, she has a lot of time left. So she can transform all that old stuff and whatever all this karma, it's almost like with her too. I'm just looking, and I hadn't thought about this, but she has Neptune in the 12th in retrograde. So there's some karma. There's some karma right there. 12th house with that little grouping, not so much in the 9th. She has the part of fortune and Libra. So this is almost, to me, more of a current life, and that fits this whole thing that I'm saying is, here is somebody who has come in to really bury the past and start fresh. So looking forward from this great pyramid experience, here's the thing. I'm going to clear the slate because that's what this is for her. And now all this interconnectivity will be free to flow like data lines moving at super gigahertz speed in her life. That's what I see from that Pluto placement.
Yeah. And I think that it relates so much to that Aries vortex and the sense of self and how they see their worth through this change. And especially with that Mercury in that opposition point, this is such a cool time for this person to really be reinventing themselves.
Yeah, it is. And that's the other good point here is for all of you who are Aquarius rising, if you were 0 degrees or 1 degree, like we were saying, then you would be experiencing that exclusively in the 3rd house. But for everybody else, which is most, you're catching some of the 2nd house, which is what you value, what you treasure most in your life. And this is, just as Kristin said, this is a restructuring of that too, to make sure that as these next 3 decades of your life unfold in front of you for this person, that they are in a position to know what they value and to experience that on the other side of this as well. And then, again, kind of a private 2nd house, public 3rd house. See, there's that theme again of this transformation for this person that is going to be ultimately powerful. And I have no idea what this person does or what they dream of doing or what they would like their life to count for. But my goodness, through this is going to be an amazing transformation.
Definitely. If I had to guess, with the moon in the 4th and Jupiter in the 5th, I would guess at least a parent. And with that, it comes so much of a change of who you are and what you value. And I think that maybe that might be what's going on, especially with that Uranus now making its way through that 4th and 5th house.
Well, that's those, Kristin, you couldn't have nailed it better than that right there. And here again is this house straddle, and perfect description, home and family, kids, 5th house, kids. So abundant, yes, multiple kids, Gemini. And the other thing that's significant here that we should talk, because we haven't yet, Uranus goes retrograde on September 6th. Now, does that date ring a bell to you?
Eclipse season.
Yes, it's the day before the total lunar eclipse. So obviously that's going to have an impact for everybody, wherever that Uranus leg of the pyramid lands for you. I am following somebody on some market stuff who does financial astrology, not Ray, it's somebody else, and a student of Ray's actually. And she was saying that she has Uranus retrograde in her natal chart and said that it's almost like for her a tap the brakes. Like she was saying that she can see future trends before everybody else. That wouldn't surprise me. But she was saying when Uranus goes retrograde, like really tap the brakes. And the problem with that is it's 5-month retrograde. Long. Yeah. So you guys should look at where the Uranus leg, where the Gemini is in your own chart. See, for me, that's rising. So we're going to have to figure this out. And maybe, Kristin, we could spend some time on the podcast talking about this, because where Gemini lands is going to be something that as September approaches. In fact, we should just roll it into the webinar.
Yeah.
So if you haven't registered for our webinar, go to hightimelineliving.com and do so, because we'll roll it into that. That's definitely something that we need to talk about. So for her, yeah, these areas are going to be affected. Perhaps some surprises in there, but let's also remember that everything that we're seeing as the pyramid is playing out is out with the old and in with the new. And I think that's the theme that this person can confidently carry through these next 7 years.
Definitely. I think that this person has such a cool, at least couple of years coming up, if not a long transformation, but especially ramping up through these next Pluto retrogrades and Pluto direct. I'm very excited for the butterfly that this person becomes.
Absolutely. And for all of you, no matter what rising sign you have, you see how you can take this, determine your degree of rising so that you can see where you are on the scale, draw the little pyramid into your chart, and then you can start to look around and see how these things fit, exactly like we've been doing on this series, which I hope you've enjoyed. We have one more to go, and we're going to do that next week. And right here. And Kristin will be with us tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Kristin, thank you for your thoughts. And we'll see you on the next Wednesday, Great Pyramid Fun Astrology. Thanks for watching.